hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. All right, we got some good Warhammery tabletop gaming things to talk about today. Specifically, I think the big thing is that the Old World just came out, or is coming out, so it's kind of out, right?
Yeah, I think people who pre-ordered their Bretonians and Tomb Kings may have them now and are beginning the process of assembling thousands of points of minis that are not worth very many points each.
Yeah. I mean, do you know if they changed that at all? Because, I mean, that's something I've been a little bit concerned about, is like, how many models do you actually need to make a full army? Is it the same kind of, you need 1,000 of everything to make a unit, or is it like, oh no, we made this reasonable this time?
I mean, the boxes of peasants still looked like units of 20. The skeletons and the peasants were still the blocks of 20, and in those army boxes there were several blocks of 20.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it does look like a lot of models come in those boxes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna say it. I like rectangles. So
they are clean.
They're very clean. A single model on a rectangle looks a little bit dumb, but you rank that up 5 abreast, 4 deep. That rectangle is so satisfying, and it takes so much work to paint 20 models, and you see such a small surface area of the models that you've painted when they're in a 4x5 rectangle. But
that's true. It's
satisfying because you know it's there, like that.
Yeah. Like if you were to take them off, you'd be like, that's good. His pants look good here. He's in the last row.
The pure density of painted models in one of those rectangles, it hurts a little bit, because you know how much effort you put in, and you understand how much work is represented by the one cannonball that skips across the unit.
Yeah.
But it feels good to plop that down. Like, I did it. I got through 20 models to put one unit on the table. And yeah, you know, in Age of Sigmar or 40k, a unit of 5 models kind of takes up like the same amount of space on a table. But no, rectangles, so like tightly
coherency
packed. So good.
Yeah, it's true. It's not nearly the same, although I still run like I mean, I guess because it's kind of a holdover from fantasy, but like plague bearers are in blocks of 20, and I think you get more bonuses if there's like 30 of them. So usually that's what it is. I run like 2 blocks of 30 on rounds.
Yeah,
they're large. It's huge, bulky armies, but I kind of missed the movement trays for that. I kind of wish I had some of those.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the same.
I did play Warhammer Fantasy, but it has been almost 20 years since I have played Warhammer Fantasy. But I very well remember reading the rule books, and the way the bonuses work for ranks. It's I don't know, you get morale bonuses or something for having a total of 4 ranks. And so, and like spears and pikes have bonuses for the 2nd and maybe the 3rd rank, depending. And
sure.
And there's things like, if you have 4 complete ranks of soldiers, you get the full leadership bonus, whatever it is.
Right.
And so the book will clearly say, like, oh, you want to make sure you have at least 5 ranks so that you can lose some casualties and still get the full bonus.
Right.
And like,
that's definitely a thing.
Ooh, this unit is meant to be the tar pit, so you want to make sure this is big, like at least 40 models. And like the boxes were bigger. Like, you would buy a unit that typically did have 20 goblins or 20 skeletons or what have you. But just the codex implied that was the bare minimum of a rectangle size, minimum. Like the absolute bare
you gotta have 40 at least. You might want to just pack another 10, because what if somebody dies and you have to take models off, then you lose that bonus. So you gotta have that bonus.
And a lot of times these were metal models, Skaven slaves, orc biggins, you know, the old goblins. Like you had a block of old forest goblins. Those were metal models that came in a blister pack of 2 or 3 models, and the financial depth that you had to have in a single army.
That's insane.
It makes sense. Like I understand why the game died, but over the years, people have gotten used to sink in more and more money into this, and to a point, you know, the average age of the person interested in fantasy models may have increased. It hasn't increased by a full 20 years, but it's increased by a good 10, 15, I bet, which puts you into job having years, the job having category.
Yeah, so. No, that's definitely the like bigger game changer. I think this is the people who like remember it fondly as like children, right?
That puts you into divorced category while still having a job, and that's prime goblin rank and file category right there.
Yeah, exactly. All metal, you know, just really investing, just getting that army like that you always wanted. Yeah.
Now's the time. Dwarves. Oh my goodness, because dwarves were on the small bases. So many of them were metal models. Like the warriors did come in plastic, but if you wanted to have quarrelers, thunderers, you got your troll slayers, the slayers. You wanted to have iron breakers. My memory fails me, but you know what I'm saying.
It's fine. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They're all metal, and they came in blister packs of 2 or maybe 3 models.
Oh man, that's the insane thing. Like, I have a dwarf, like a miner, like a pickaxe
miners.
Is that what they're? I don't even remember what they're called. It was the only Warhammer Fantasy model that I actually owned when I was younger. Because I was going to a friend's house to play D&D, and we had painted up models because like everybody was into Warhammer. Like 40K was the thing at the time, right? You're talking like 97 or 8 or something, 99, I don't know, somewhere in there. So we were doing that, and it was my friend's brother painted up a dwarf miner as his character. Because he was like some kind of halfling something, and we thought that was funny. So he had that. So he gave me the other one in like the 2-pack. And I've had that since then. And it's still in the pack that it came in, and it's in my drawer, and I haven't painted it. Never even taken it out.
Well, they eventually got some plastic miners in the Battle for Skull Pass, but for a long time, those were all metal.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, I can't remember where we were going, but it's coming back. The old world is here.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm like pretty stoked about it. I went ahead and I got out the only box of fantasy stuff that I actually have, which mostly was given to me by other people who just didn't want it anymore. I mean, clearly they weren't going to be using their orc, crossbowmen.
Oh, those are so good.
Not gonna do that.
Okay, we'll negotiate a trade.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 of those. I clearly remember bringing 2 orc crossbowmen to middle school to like show to people after history class. Like I remember at my locker in middle school, like pulling out 2 orc crossbowmen. They looked pretty good at the time, I got to say. But yeah, it was 2 orc crossbowmen came in a blister pack. Metal orcs. Plastic crossbows.
That clang of metal.
I hear it.
Yeah, no, I got a bunch of these now. And then a bunch of this one's like the leader guy. I don't know. He's got a crossbow, but he's got a big old knife, which I think is pretty great.
Is it a boss or a big boss?
I think it's a big boss with a crossbow.
Big boss with
crossbow. So he's definitely up front in the ranks there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a bunch of the pigs, little pigs.
Boars.
The really, yeah, I mean, they're boars, but they're stupid looking boars.
They're really bad looking.
Like, not even the nice looking boars, yeah. I got a bunch of stuff out, and I've been kind of putting stuff together, and it kind of like I've been buying all these old, and they're not old, they're new pewter models, or whatever metal, and a lot of them have been orcs, and they've been sculpted by the same guy who did a lot of the original orcs for fantasy, and now I'm just like I need to just continue this and have this just heavy and all metal orc army.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you asked if the Old World had come out yet, and I think we are about 1 week into the Old World technically having been released, and that means we're 1 week into the lag time of people trying to paint up however many points they need to actually play a game. So there's going to be some old Hammer fans out there who have their armies ready to go, and they've been ready to go for 20 years. And then anybody who just bought a box of Bretonnians or skeletons, they are only 1 week into the process of trying to get those ready to go. And keep working out there, friends. You can do it. I believe in you.
This would be a good time to figure out how to really paint some of that stuff really fast. Skeletons are not that hard.
Yeah.
I think you could get away with some stuff. There's also the decision to make whether or not you want your army to be still have the old world aesthetic, like the classic paint jobs, or if they should be painted like we paint armies in Age of Sigmar and stuff today. Like, is it either more complex shading, highlighting, washing, all this stuff, or is it solid blocks of color?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, which way would you probably go?
I always go solid blocks of color. That's just what I do.
I guess you do.
Unless I'm slap chopping. I make a hard fork when I'm starting a paint job. We're either slap chopping or we're solid blocks of color with a little bit of shading, a little bit of highlighting. We'll see how we feel. But
yeah,
the most recent video I did is I painted up 8 Bretonnian Knights of the Realm, and I got early access because those models have been out for 20 years, and I got them on Craigslist 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You're holding one up there on screen. Does that have the little shields on the barding? Is it
yes,
4 shields?
This one has the shields on it, the war shields, and he's missing his actual shield.
Okay, so that is a 6th edition Bretonnian Knight of the Realm. That is from the year 2004.
Look at you.
Yep, I did my research. The previous edition of the game in the starter box, the Bretonnians vs. Lizardmen starter box, I think that was 98, I want to say, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
But that one actually had a previous edition plastic Bretonnian Knight of the Realm that didn't have the shields on the barding. They're just a little bit smaller, a little less complex. Now, Eric of Eric's Hobby Workshop says he prefers 5th edition Knight of the Realm over 6th edition. So there's a lot of fun to be had here, and we apologize to anyone listening at home who's just scratching their head, but one of the nice things about the re-release or the Old World or whatever you want to call it is that there is so much history here, and some people are getting excited about it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely starting to kick in for me, and even a little bit for you too, Casey, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah. No, I missed out on the whole thing back then, so I'm excited to see what happens now.
Hey, look, if you type Bretonnian painting into YouTube, I want you to know, Casey, your Green Knight is like the 3rd result, something like that. It's up there. Your Green Knight from an old eBay rescue is up there. That was one of your good videos.
Yeah, actually, that video probably was the biggest jump that I had right when the channel was new. It was a good one. That's still, I really like that video, and I wish it was done better, because I shot it with an iPhone. You know what I mean? It looks terrible. It was an iPhone 4 or 5. I don't know. It's been a minute.
You get that 4S. Yeah.
Probably a 4S, yeah. Could have been a 5C though. I don't know. I can't remember which one I had at the time, but yeah. I did like a lot of work that I don't even tend to do these days on models. I did like a bunch of green stuff on it. It was really jacked up. And I think it was more of that like I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, so I just kind of went for it with everything, not really thinking about it, second guessing myself.
Painting bravely.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we talk about. And I do think back to that video, and I see that model in my cabinets. I'm like, man, I gotta push for that more often. Like, it's a really good reminder. But yeah, I really like that model, and it at the time, and I think I said it in the video, I was like, I really want to go find more of these, and like I kind of have. I think I've maybe bought a couple Old World things since then, but not like I wanted to at the time. But now I feel like actually the time is right. I went and got those Nightmare miniature models, and I got this like sweet orc warlord on a boar, and he looks awesome, and it's too good. It's too good. Can't ignore these.
That's a really good boar. It is.
It looks so good. Like the fur, it's perfect.
So you don't have the memories of actually playing the game, but just being on eBay, I bet you've constantly been seeing these models. For years and years. You've been seeing these models
since even back in the day, right? Around that time, like the late 90s, early 2000s especially, right? Man, like there were so many, and I remember buying things that were like lots, just a bunch of different stuff all together, and there'd just be this random fantasy model thrown in there. I'd be like, what is this garbage? What is this square bases? I don't like this. At the time, especially, like if you were playing 40K, it felt like it was like you were not allowed to go play fantasy, at least with the people I was around, which is honestly probably why I ended up quitting in general. Was part of it.
Some real winners there, Casey.
Yeah, I know. It's great. Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. But yeah, man, like it was all over eBay for sure. And right now is the time to go look at some of that stuff. Maybe for a premium, but
yeah, I'm sure the prices have gone up because there definitely are people more interested in those old models right now for good reason. Mm-hmm. Because Games Workshop, in selling The Old World, is just reprinting some of the old models, so it's not like not like things are going out of circulation or getting replaced by something better. It's just like, these are the skeletons. Here they are again.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you want, I get what they're doing, right? They killed a game, and now there's enough interest for them to say, okay, we can bring these back out and like invest in that and whatever. However you want to look at it, that's the way I'm thinking about it. But so there's no reason for them to actually over invest and create all new models from stuff only to have like the core audience of Warhammer Fantasy buy it and then not do anything with it, or nothing ever happens, and then they have to kill it again. So by putting out the old models again, I can kind of see that it's like they're just judging it. They're trying to see how far is this going to go, and is it worth actually creating new models for it? Because I mean, a lot of people who wanted fantasy are getting it, right? I'm into it. I know some of the models aren't exactly like up to modern standards, but I think that's part of the charm, so to speak. I think they're really riding on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of charm, but then again, a lot of those minis do stand up.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they are good enough to embody the art style that they were going for, if that's what you want to put it. Like they look good in their way.
in their way. I mean, that's fair. Like some of these models, like they look good.
Yeah.
in their own way.
They're a million times better than a Lego minifig, a million times better than a Funko Pop. People go nuts for these. You get some old Empire handgunners. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Just the way they are.
You know what?
Yeah.
There's an Empire model that I've been seeing, and I've never bought, and I've seen it. I swear to you, it's almost every single day. Most days. Whenever I go onto eBay, it's the like sniper guy. He's standing up, and the rifle's on a little stand, and he's like looking down at. And I swear to you, I see that model every time I go onto eBay, and I'm just like, oh, look, it's an Empire sniper guy. I should probably buy that at some point. I've saved them a bunch of times, and there've just been all these auctions, but it's super expensive for like the single model. So I've just never pulled the trigger on it. But I don't know. Maybe now's the time to do that too.
No, keep an eye out. So
You think they're gonna put new?
Well, they might re-release him, but I'm sure the prices are going to go all over the place. So I will say, if you've been sitting on some old Warhammer stuff, this is just a reminder. If you were ever going to paint it, now's probably the time. And if you're still sitting on a bunch of old fantasy stuff, and you're like, I still have no interest in this, maybe now's the time to sell it, because you are going to get possibly more people bidding.
Than you would normally. Yeah. Now the auctions for full armies, even like not painted great, are much higher than I think you would normally see. In fact, I'd say like the median price for most small armies, like what you would see in either the Bretonnians or Tomb Kings starter boxes that are like $250, I think, are going for like $400. Like most of the time at a minimum, but it seems to be kind of the average middle for most auctions that I've been seeing. And I've been looking a lot in the last few days. In fact, I'm putting together an orc war boss on a wyvern.
Ooh.
And I was looking up the kit to see like, how much does it go for, all this stuff. It's like almost a $300 kit. Like for no reason. That model does not deserve that kind of attention.
I remember
so tempted.
I remember it being extremely expensive at $30 in like 2003 or something like that. Like I remember it being extremely expensive at $30.
Yeah. I mean, I found them for cheaper, but even still, man, it's insane. And I in the box that I have, there's an orc shaman that rides a wyvern also, because there's like 4 or 5 different ones. And just that model alone was like $60. And I can't find the full like spindly tall wyvern that he actually rides for less than a couple $100 either.
Wild.
Yeah, actually, if you want to do some trades, I got some of these orc crossbowmen, if you got one of them wyverns. Really need a wyvern.
I have a lot of random bits from the large monsters. I might have I might have the spindly neck and nothing else. I don't know.
Yeah, just the neck part. I mean, if you've got some left wings, I've got like 4 right wings for something from that era. I don't know what they're from.
I definitely have 1 or 2 plastic wings that are only one side. So we'll talk, Casey. We'll talk.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
Yeah. So all of this stuff has been floating around for at least 20 years. Some of it 30 years, and some people's mothers threw it out when they moved out of the house, and then when they moved back into the house, they found that they only had the left wings, left and under the bed, and
wherever they hid the other ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
But yeah, this has gotten me more excited than I thought it would. Like, I have always enjoyed painting Warhammer Fantasy miniatures. I enjoy them more than 40K. And it's cool to see people actually excited. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is specifically Rob the Honest Wargamer, Val Heffelfinger, the Square-based podcast. So I think on our previous episode, I was like, we'll see if the old world actually lasts. Is this just going to be Aeronautica Imperialis? Is this going to be I don't know. What just one of the other kind of side games that Games Workshop put out that they sell a ton of boxes of, and then they stop supporting, or maybe they technically keep supporting it, but like nobody really plays it anymore. I don't want to call out any specific game because like if I say Blood Bowl, like 50 people are going to get very, very angry at me, or if I say Necromunda, like 25 people are going to get very, very angry at me.
Look, if you just say Necromunda, then they're already going to get mad at you.
No, Necromunda is correct.
Yeah, Necromunda.
But like I was expecting they're going to sell a lot of the box sets, and people are going to play for a couple months, the way it happens with a lot of these side releases, that aren't the 2 core games from Games Workshop.
Yeah.
But I actually am more optimistic now. And the reason I'm optimistic is not anything that Games Workshop is doing. The reason I'm optimistic is because I've just listened to a couple episodes of Square Based with Rob the Honest Wargamer. And the level of passion and excitement and dedication and planning has been phenomenal. So Rob... he has a long history, but one of the things he used to do is work at Games Workshop. He has also done a lot of organization for Age of Sigmar play independently. And he clearly is invested in organizing tournaments and a whole style of play for the old world.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're listening to this and you're still listening to us ramble about this old game, go check out Square Based, the podcast. It's available on podcast apps. It's available on YouTube. Rob's a good guy. His co-host, Val Heffelfinger, is a good guy. They banter very well. They know what they're talking about. They're entertaining. And they are putting in a lot of work to make this game a success. And what I like is that they're taking what Games Workshop has put out. They're taking the rule books for half of the armies that Games Workshop is going to support, and the other half of the armies that Games Workshop said we're not going to support.
Yeah.
And they're saying that all of these are going to be legal in our tournaments. We're going to organize a lot of tournaments. All of these armies are going to be legal. And just to give the context here. So Games Workshop is always trying to sell some things and then stop selling other things, and who knows why, but officially supported in Old World: Empire, Dwarves, Bretonnia, Wood Elf, High Elf, Orcs and Goblins, Warriors of Chaos, Beastmen, and Tomb Kings. Which is kind of insane. Yeah. Those are the 9 factions of the Old World. And then there have been another 7 factions that they have released a set of rules for, like a PDF. Like, here is the legacy rule set for these factions. So Games Workshop is kind of saying, this is all you're going to get for the following factions.
100%.
Yeah. This is all you're getting for Vampire Counts, Lizardmen, Skaven, Ogre Kingdoms, Dark Elves, Chaos Demons, Chaos Dwarves. And a couple of those are very important. Vampire Counts, Lizardmen, Skaven, Dark Elves, very important. But to my mind, lesser are the Ogre Kingdoms, Chaos Demons, and Chaos Dwarves. Like, I don't know, maybe some of you out there played those, but there are some very important factions that Games Workshop said, basically, we'd rather you buy these models for Age of Sigmar, I think, is what they're doing there.
I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I don't really understand the reasoning behind that, because it's like these armies already existed. People already had them. So, like, why not support them? And again, maybe they're just waiting to see, like, where the chips fall, right? They're like, hey, everybody asked for Tomb Kings for so long. I made such a big deal about it. Like, we'll see if they actually buy it, right? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Vampire Counts come back in some weird capacity. Lizardmen is a really weird one to not be there. Dark Elves, I was actually super excited for Dark Elves. I've been wanting to buy into like the old metal Dark Elves army. But that's
you want
not
dark
really...
elves? You talk to me, Casey.
Yeah, I know. I have some. I do have some. I have several.
We'll work out some sort of a dark elf for crossbowmen trade now, won't we?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, because the literal vampire counts army that I have painted for, I mean, I put it on round basis because I bought it when Age of Sigmar came out, and I was getting back into everything. But most of everything I bought was on square bases. My Vlad von Karstein, I think, is still on a square base. I want to say, actually, he is. I just glued the square base onto the round base and put grass over it, so I can always pop him right off and he's ready to go. But yeah, like now I can't use those in that, and they don't really work in like Soulblight Gravelords or any of that stuff either.
Yeah,
so they're kind of dead models, and that's really weird to me that you have this massive collection and it's just not really useful.
Yeah, so a couple things to say on that. The first is that how many people are ever actually going to play at an official sanctioned Games Workshop tournament? So the kind of exclusion list here, or the legacy list, or the renegade list, whatever you want to call it, basically they're saying, here's the PDF rules if you want to play with your nerd friend in your basement, but you come to a Games Workshop tournament, not allowed. Lizard men, not allowed. Like dark elves, not allowed.
You can't get the sweet metal pterodactyls.
You come here with metal pterodactyls. Go home. Yeah. So the first thing is, like, let's just be honest with yourself. Are you going to be playing in any official Games Workshop tournaments? And there are some people out there who like that, and I guess there are some benefits, like you can, I don't know, maybe if you win, you get your picture in the Warhammer community, or you get like a commemorative pin or something. Like there's achievements. There's achievements to be had.
We've been to one. I don't remember even what they did with that.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Not much happened. We couldn't get models, and then we went home.
I'm sure the people who were playing in one got something that was worthwhile to them.
Yeah.
But so I don't want to diminish if anyone is on a quest to win an official Games Workshop tournament, but for everyone else out there, like, just be honest. Like, there are other tournaments out there, and the other tournaments are going to have better rules, and they're going to have double the number of playable armies, and they're going to, from listening to Rob's plans, they're going to be more fun. And that,
I mean, if he's running it,
yeah, that's why I've been so excited listening to the Square Based podcast, is because they're saying, like, look, we're going to allow all of these armies, and thanks for the start, Games Workshop. We'll take the starting rules here. We will come up with a system for running events. We'll have our own kind of tournament standards for these things, and we're going to run some fun tournaments, and we are going to build this game. We're going to be the leaders in this community, and it's going to be great. And the enthusiasm that they show, it's infectious. It's got me like, I know myself well enough to know that I'm never going to be a tournament player of probably anything, but yeah. I can happily be painting a couple of Bretonnian Knights or whatever, and share in the excitement.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, I was just listening to their podcast, and so, like, one of the things they were saying is, bring whatever army you want, but also whatever models you want. Like, bring proxies, bring 3D prints. If the models are on the correct size base, if they look like what they're supposed to look like, if they fit the theme of the army, that's awesome. Like, yeah. I mean, wood elves are an official army in the old world, and good luck trying to get a wood elf right now. Yeah, like,
that's very fair. Did they make any in plastic?
They did. Pretty, I don't know. I guess they were probably out for like 7 or 8 years before they canned the game, but
yeah.
Yes, there were,
like, all the dancers and the whatevers and the swordsmen, the hoeth, whatever, I don't even know. I don't remember.
The Glade Guard.
Yeah, there you go. Glade Guard. Yeah. Guard in the Glade.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I swear they're all like metal. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, just because Games Workshop is releasing 20-year-old sculpts, like the 3D files that are out there right now are better. They're a lot better.
That's fair, yeah.
The plastic still has durability going for it, but I printed a lot of not Tomb Kings and a lot of not Bretonians over the past couple of weeks. And the models I printed the Tomb Kings, I got the one-page rules ones, and the Bretonians I got from Titan Forge. And they're great. They're great looking.
Yeah.
Again, the durability of the spears are a little iffy, so I'll probably equip them with hand weapons, but...
that's such a weird thing to me, like making those decisions before you like, oh, I have to print this model from nothing. I need to make sure it's going to last if I'm going to actually use it, so they can't have spears.
Yeah, well,
like everything with spears is basically out. Anything with flags attached to it, I've basically given up on. Yeah, no, it's even just removing the supports like half the time you break the stupid thing. So man, I didn't even think about that, actually. You bring up one-page rules. I mean, they got a lot of stuff that will be very good for this. Yeah. That makes me kind of want to do some printing.
There are, speaking of Bretonians, there's Midbury miniatures. There's also Highland miniatures. There are... For any of these armies, there are multiple 3D printing STL companies that have done at least a month or two for the kind of models that you want, for the kind of proxies that you'd want. There are so many great options out there. And yeah, I think this might be a really good thing if Games Workshop just kind of puts this out in like a half-assed way, and then the community takes the reins and says, we'll take it from here. Thanks for the start. We're going to do this right. We're going to allow awesome proxies. We're going to allow all the armies. We're going to find a way to balance out, the number of core units you can take compared to the number of special and HQ or whatever. But the square-based tournament standard is what's going on. And Rob was saying that he's got 4 tournaments already on the calendar, and that the pre-sales are going and they're filling up fast, and
nice.
There's some real leadership and excitement there, and that's cool to see.
Yeah. No, I mean you get enough people on board like this, like to create that independent community, and I mean it could be huge, especially where they're at. I kind of remember this happening when Age of Sigmar came out too, because people were so confused by it and they weren't sure what to do. We got these like Renegade faction, books that came out, and there were no points at the time. So like people were running these tournaments just being like, hey man, whatever you have, we're going to make this work. And I feel like that, was a pretty huge part of the reason that it's probably even still a game, because theoretically, like, it could have done the same as Warhammer Fantasy, and they would have canned it like 2 years in and just been like, well, I guess we make Warhammer 40,000 and that's what we make,
Weird. Nobody wants to play this game with no points, where you just bring whatever you want to the table, and the winner is so good, whoever brings more cases of minis with them.
Whoever was, that was the only, like, there were all sorts of weird crap going on. It was like, well, maybe we should calculate wounds. Maybe that's how we should do it, or maybe it should be the number of models or something. It was insane. And man, that was after like not playing Warhammer or doing anything for 20 years or whatever, and then coming back and being like, man, this is crazy. This is so much fun. It's so much better than I remember. Like, everything's easy. You got the literal like 1-2 page little pamphlet, and that's your rules for Age of Sigmar. I don't know, it's a whole wild west of everything then, but proxies and just do whatever you want, I think got people on board. And I think I'm sure that they'll have a big impact on that, and if people continue to do that and push for that, then things are going to be pretty awesome. Like I'm excited about this boar riding orc that is just ridiculous.
Nightmare miniatures.
Yeah, like filling out an entire army with those, like that sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And that even if I wanted to play in some non-GW sanctioned tournament or what, which I really don't care to. I don't care to at all.
That's a long Saturday. Or that's a long weekend, either way.
It's a long weekend. Yeah, no, this is a long, like, multiple days of, like, I mean, come on. How long does it take you to play a game of anything at this point? Like, the last game you played, how long did it take?
Oh, I have no idea. A long time. A long time.
Long time. Yeah. Long time. Yeah, like 3 or 4 hours, I swear. I think was the last one that I did.
Yeah. I did play a couple of games. I think I played in 2 tournaments of 8th edition 40K that got 3 games in on a Saturday.
That makes sense.
And it was a long Saturday, but you can play a 3-game tournament on a Saturday. It's doable. But you're gonna spend Sunday mentally recovering from that, and you could just paint miniatures for 2 days. That's good too. Ooh, also good. I'm just gonna throw it out there. The Total War Warhammer game really is good. If you just want to play a PC game where the computer is your opponent and knows all the rules for you and does all of the math and everything's instantaneous and it has pretty good graphics and it's fun. Total War Warhammer. There are 3 releases for that game, 1, 2, and 3. 2 is the good one. Warhammer Total War 2. Yeah. And it's the normal Total War thing where it's rectangles of troops going up against each other. It's completely themed in the old world. You can play with the renegade factions. Actually, on its release, 2 was the one that had Skaven and Lizardmen and Dark Elves and High Elves.
Yeah, that was like the big thing.
But so 3 of the renegade factions are really featured in Warhammer 2. But
that right there, like, because I've seen the cinematics, I've used some stuff like pointing to that in videos that I've made about models from those factions. And now that they're just, I don't know. I mean, again, proxies, using whatever you want, like people who are going to create this community and make it something cool aren't going to be completely terrible and not let you have fun and play with awesome models. But I am kind of bummed because what it means is realistically if things go really well and Games Workshop is like, yeah, man, this is like a moneymaker. We're actually going to be investing in this often.
Yeah.
Well, that means that Skaven aren't getting jack for like a decade, if ever.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. I realistically am not going to play many or any games of this, but I can share in the excitement. I can paint some minis while I'm listening to the Square Based, the podcast. I can listen to Square Based, the podcast, while I'm playing Total War Warhammer 2 on the PC.
Yeah. And
I can kind of, just share in the excitement. That sounds good to me. But, if I'm wish listing, I actually kind of hope that Games Workshop doesn't do too much with it. And what I mean by that is I don't I hate the treadmill, like the 3-year treadmill of Games Workshop where a codex is good for 18 months or whatever. And if you buy a book and take a vacation or something, you come back to the game and you need to buy the book again. Like I hate that so much.
That's true. That's true. I do have multiple books for the same army that I didn't play in the last edition and haven't played in this one.
Actually, I've stopped hating it. I've just come to acceptance, and I just know not to buy the books. Like I know, it's fair. I understand if I buy a codex, I'm gonna play 2 games of that edition maybe. And then I'll have to buy the codex again. So I've just learned to not play the game. But I
mean, that's the way to go. Yeah, right? You're just like, gonna not play this game. How about that?
I'll download the one-page rules version of the game. I'll read those 2 pages, and that'll be close enough, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, anymore, like with army builders and everything else that's out there, like Battlescribe has 99% of what you need. It's like the last 10% that's in the book that gives you like, oh, well, this specific thing, and this is how you would do that. Like, that's really all you're missing. And I bet you could probably find that stuff on Google. So yeah, like the actual need to buy a book these days, I think is pretty low. Like it's more of a collection.
Russian Google. Yeah, that'll get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Google.vk will get you pretty far.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yeah. I found a lot of codexes out there too, just floating around on like, not even like pirating sites or anything like that. It's like just somebody will just be like, here's this codex for this thing. It's just here's the PDF.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'll just grab that before somebody takes it down. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, actually, speaking of Russian torrents,
Bipainted is back. Is he? I don't know if he's Russian. You weren't gonna say.
No. I was gonna say, like, I learned about Sci-Hub, which is a website where you can download scientific articles. One of my other pet peeves is that it's really hard to get actual peer-reviewed articles. If
you're not in the system.
Yeah, if you don't have a university library at your beck and call, it's really hard to get scientific articles. And I've been reading up a little bit about VOCs, volatile organic compounds, in relation to 3D printing. And the scihub.com or .vk or whatever actually does a pretty good job of comrades just getting you scientific articles so you don't have to pay $50 to read a journal article. So that's
is that how they're doing it these days? They're like, well, since you don't belong to a university, that'll be $50.
Yes, and that's like one of the cheap ones. It's $50 for 48 hours of access to a journal article.
Oh, even better. It's a rental.
No, it's ridiculous.
Why? Like, what's the purpose of that?
Okay, so basically, if you want to publish in like the Journal of Chemical Physics or something like that, you send in your article and it goes to an editor, and the editor farms that out to a couple of peer reviewers, and the peer reviewers send in their thing, and if the journal article is accepted, or maybe accepted with revisions or whatever, then a copy editor who works for the journal like neatens up and formats everything and gets a nice PDF ready, and then they publish it on their website. They don't even have like physical journals anymore. But there are hosting costs, and there's the cost of the copy editor, and maybe the editor who does the distribution gets paid a little bit of something. But the journal does have costs, but realistically, a total of 20 people are ever going to read that article, or like it depends depends what it is. But a lot of scientific articles are only read by a couple dozen people ever. Some of them, the really good ones, get read by hundreds or thousands, but
even then,
if they need to recoup their costs,
at this much,
the journal does have operating costs, and they recoup those costs by mostly charging like pharmaceutical companies ridiculous fees to read their journal articles.
I could see them targeting specific companies and stuff. Yeah,
but yeah, it was really annoying when I was a ACS, American Chemical Society, like dues paying member, and in order to read an ACS journal, I would then also have to pay money. Like it was infuriating to me. But with illegal downloading sites, I can just get the PDF without paying that, so I can allow the scientists who work very hard on that bit of scientific information to share that information with somebody. So I'm not feeling too guilty about that, I'll tell you what.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. If they're keeping it in a bubble, that's not helping anybody. And I get that it's like a peer review thing and it's a thing, but then why not host it Like somebody should have, especially in the intellectual community.
Yeah.
I figured this out.
Peer-reviewed information costs a lot to access, but
the dumbest thing I've ever
whatever
heard.
Tim Pool says that day is very free for you to access. Yeah. Whatever Brent and Casey are rambling about, completely free for you to observe.
Yeah, completely free, unless you sign up or
buy a
Patreon
Kobold Talk T-shirt.
Shirt.
Yeah. The Kobold Talk T-shirts, those cost money. Yeah.
We don't see any of that money, but they cost money.
Yeah, that's right. But you get a shirt.
Yeah, we really don't.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I got from the shirt people was like, I think maybe it was like 20 cents.
All right. Well, at least people got the Kobold shirts. That's the important thing. And you give that 20 cents to
I put them down as low as I
and
could.
Thank you, Matt. And,
yeah.
All right. All right. What else we got?
I mean, the old world is pretty darn neat, and I am excited that it's back, that it's here, that something can happen with these models.
I'm excited to paint some old models. Excited to paint some new 3D prints inspired by old models, and all good, all good.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got, Casey?
Well, I was going to talk about stuff that I painted and orcs and whatnot, but we kind of did that. Let's see. I don't know.
Okay.
I think we've mostly gone through a lot of the stuff that we had kind of pre-planned.
Well, I got a little bit more if we were rounding down the old world here. So I did paint those 8 nights as a start, and also as a way to test out the War Paints Fanatic, which was all and good. And so far so good with that paint. Like the overall conclusion is that all of the other paint brands were up here at like a B plus, A minus kind of level, like saving the A's and the A plus. There's always room for improvement, but
always.
Yeah, you get like pro acryl at like an A minus. Like we always room for improvement. Like don't top it out. And you had the old Army Painter War Paint at like, we'll give it a generous C plus. We'll give it a generous C plus. Yeah.
All right, 4 or 5.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is that Warpaint's Fanatic has caught up to the pack. They are no longer lagging behind the pack of antelope about to get eaten by the cheetah. Like they're about to get eaten by like the old cheetah with eyesight problems. Yeah, they caught up to the pack, and hey, right on. Like there are going to be more good options for paints out on the market. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. No, I've been using them a lot. I'm very happy with them.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so this is a quick segment, but yeah, so for the nights I was using a very large box of paints. They're sweet 216 paint mega set, complete set, and
that is a big set of paints.
For the next batch of minis, I'm using a different paint set. I got my Warpaints Fanatic starter set, which includes 11 bottles, including a bottle of brush-on primer. And the point I want to make is, every time we get to a new release and the hype is going, there are always these big boxes, whether it's a $250 worth of Tomb Kings or I think $700 worth of Warpaints Fanatic complete set. Like, I mean, you don't have to buy the big box. You don't have to buy the big box. That's all I'm trying to get. Like because there's.
You want to talk about it, or?
I mean, it's nice to have a ton of variety of paints, but like you can buy as many or few bottles of paint as you want to buy. And you know what? If you're not sure about the paint line, maybe start with the 11 bottle set. Or wait until the singles are available.
$34 11 bottle set.
Yeah. So I have been painting actually a pretty good little chunk of minis. I think I'm going to have like 10 or 11 minis total that I've been painting with just this tiny little paint set,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting some nice looking minis out of it. Like you don't need infinite paints. I'm it's a little bit annoying to have to mix up gray or bone every time you want to use those colors.
Sure.
There's not even like a Caucasian flesh tone in here or anything, but like for a lot of minis, this is a good mix. It's fine. Anyway, there's just one of the types of comments that it kind of annoys me is anytime there's these reviews about a new line of paint, and oftentimes the paint companies send a pretty large kit out to YouTubers to check out to get an idea of what the range is like, and then somebody will always be like, $200 for 50 paints, like, yeah, right, like you can buy one bottle of paint, it's fine, you don't have to
you don't have to buy
you buy as many or as few of these as you want. And to be fair, like the 216 paint set, like, of course, if you multiply the price of a bottle of paint times 216, the price of that is going to be a very high number. And
how much is a bottle of paint?
$4.25 is what they've been going for. Or I think $4.25 is the MSRP of a bottle of the upcoming War Paints Fanatic.
And how many are in that box?
216.
Okay, okay. And are there any extras in that box?
I think there's 4 brushes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So roughly $960 worth.
Yeah.
And how much is the set itself?
I've seen a few different prices. I don't know if 700 is with some discount. Like it might even be more. It might even be more like 800. I don't know.
Either way, I mean, it's less than $960, almost $1,000, right? It's less than that.
Stop trying to sell the complete set, Casey. Like, no.
Look, on principle, I think that I'm agreeing with you. It's like, if you want to pay that kind of money and buy all of the paints, like, good for you. That'll be great. Everybody else can buy it a bottle at a time.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So the comments I got on my night video were mostly very lovely, but there were a couple of people like, $700 for a paint kit. Yeah, right. It's just like, just buy a bottle, see if you like it. It's right. $4.25.
Like, not the person they're talking to. I don't know. You told me that. It just really it irks me, because it's like, yeah, duh. But like, you also don't have to go buy $1 million car either, do you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Huh. I bought the entire line of folk art paint, and it cost me $3,000. Yeah. Like, I bought the entire shelf of Krylon spray paint, and
exactly,
like, cops arrested me. Like, I just
exactly. You want to start like multiplying these things. Yeah, folk art is such a good example. Like, you go into a Michael's or something, and it's not like a box of folk art. It's an aisle of folk art. Okay, the entire aisle is this brand of paint. Whatever brand it is, might be plaid, but it doesn't matter. My point stands. Every color under the sun, every type of paint, every medium that they have, it's like, you really want to go for it? Oh, but this paint is inexpensive. It's so cheap. It's like $2.50 a bottle. It's like, okay, so you just take every amount that are in there. There's probably 2,000 or 3,000 bottles sitting there. Mm-hmm. You just multiply that. Yeah, let's do that. It's like, no, okay, yeah.
I bought every SKU of a product line, and it was expensive. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, I just bought both starters for Old World, and it cost me $500. Oh my god.
Yeah, but so on a serious note, though, like there is the trend of all the YouTube reviews have these giant boxes of paint, and I think that does skew a lot of things in viewers' minds. And either that it's expected that you have the whole line of paint, or just I don't know, like it does change the whole framing if somebody is just like, yeah, here's the entire line of paint that a company gave to me. That's one of the reasons why I'm working on the video of just, no, here's the absolute smallest box that they have, which is the kind of thing that you can give to somebody as a birthday present that has paints, a brush, a mini, and try the hobby out, see if you like it.
Yeah, I do like the fact that their starter comes with a model.
Yep.
I think that's really great.
Yep.
I know we've talked about that with like some of the Reaper sets in the past because they have models in theirs. That's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've given a shout out to WizKids Paint Night kits in the past, but the bottles of paint and the paint night kits from WizKids. Sorry, the WizKids Paint Night kit. I mean, it does have everything you need in there to paint a mini, but they're not like real bottles of paint. They're weird little tiny pots that don't close right. Yeah.
Garbage little guys. Yeah,
but it's real Vallejo paint in those pots, and it comes with 1 or 2 paint brushes, and it comes with a little monster mini from WizKids. And in some ways, those are one of the best single box everything you need to learn to paint a mini kit that have been out there. And like we said, Reaper also has some where like you get some goblins from Reaper and the colors that you'll want to use to paint some goblins or what have you. But I think this tiny little kit from Warpaints Fanatic is going to be a good thing for the stores that mostly sell Funko Pops to stock. If they're going to stock one mini painting item, like this is a good one. So.
I mean, to be fair, the Army Painter has always been very good about getting their paints into stores like that. And if they're just replacing their old war paints with Fanatic, I mean, yeah, it's going to be perfect. Like the mall that I have, or one of the malls, like they have Army Painter in one of the stores.
Yep.
They don't have any other paints. They have Army Painter. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. And the fact that it's on par with a lot of like the paints that I prefer to use generally is kind of a huge deal. I don't even know if anybody's really emphasized how much of a big deal that actually is, but it's kind of a big deal.
Getting much better paint into the hands of new painters, amazing. Like yeah. Like we could not really recommend the old Army Painter war paints before. If somebody get them, be like, cool, yeah, hey, hope you have fun with them. Paint some minis, and then let us know when you're ready to upgrade. Sort of, but
yeah. To be honest, the only thing I've ever heard about them that made the most sense to me, other than like there are a few colors that worked pretty well. I like their spray. The sprays were good. Okay. The color match usually was like decent enough with the spray, and then everything else you could airbrush fine enough.
Sure,
and it was fine.
Sure,
yeah.
And the washes were good. The strong tone is like one of the best hobby products that's been on the market. Like I like strong tone. Okay, that's enough Warpaints Fanatic. What else? Ooh, I went to a tiny little convention called SnowCon in Bangor, Maine last weekend or something. Weekend before. It was good. It was fun.
Nice.
It's a convention with 280 people, and it was held at the Elks Lodge, which is not a Rotary Club, but probably similar.
It's not. It's just called the Elks Lodge.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's just a community center, basically. And just a lot of people playing games. There were miniature games. There, Star Wars X-Wing, Marvel Crisis Protocol. There was people playing role-playing games. There were board games, and there was a little setup in the corner where people were painting minis. There was a kind of paint and take area run by Donald. And thanks Donald, and it was sponsored by the Army Painters. So there were some old war paints there for people to paint their first miniature with, and they were good enough for that purpose.
Right? Yeah. Imagine that. Yeah. Switching out that paint with Fanatic, and they're sponsoring an event with 200 people, and all of a sudden, man, so good.
Yeah. I think maybe like 50 people actually might have rotated through the paint and take area over the weekend, but hey. Good. So yeah, that was just a little local convention that I hadn't checked out before. It was good to go. That's one of my resolutions this year, is to try to make it to more local conventions, just to check them out, see what they're like.
That's a good resolution. Yeah. Actually, it's not bad at all.
Oh, and it was announced today, but I'm going to be a guest at Too Many Games, which is a convention in Philadelphia area in late June of this year, 2024. So Too Many Games in the Philadelphia area, and it's mostly, or historically it was mostly a video game convention. They're up to 15 or 20,000 attendees now. And
it's pretty good.
Yeah, and they announced kind of the first batch of special guests. And I was one of the special guests that they announced. And then it was just like 10 voice actors from video games. And I think they were all way more famous than any mini painting YouTuber ever could be. But I was just like,
it's great. You're in good company. It's great.
I was hoping that they were going to announce the name of like some other tabletop person. I know last year they had Bob Worldbuilder as a guest, and obviously they wouldn't use the same guest 2 years in a row, but I was like, I want to meet Bob someday. That'd be cool if he was there. So I was hoping they were going to be like, this person who I've heard of before is going to be there. I'm like, this is my chance to finally meet Trent from Miscast or or whatever. But it was just like, oh, here's my chance to meet 10 voice actors from video games, none of which are personal favorites of mine, but they seem like nice people. Maybe the next batch. I'm hoping there's going to be a few more tabletop special guests. Otherwise,
with that many people in attendance, I would think so.
Otherwise, I'm just going to have to meet the regular non-special guests, which are pretty good too. And if you're interested in being a regular old normal guest, Too Many Games in the Philadelphia area.
There you go. As these things come closer, we should probably actually tell people,
Oh, I'm telling people.
You tell people now.
Yeah, just get that out of the way.
Just to get out and dusted. We're talking about late June.
Yeah, if you've listened to the first hour of January the podcast, episode 102, then you already know what's going on.
Exactly. Ooh. Yeah, exactly.
Casey, if you subtract Kobold Talk episode 1 and Kobold Talk episode 2, this is episode 100. This is actually a very 100. Important episode of Paint Brave the podcast, and it's just too bad this is one of our worst episodes yet.
It wasn't though. Is it though? Is it?
It always is.
It always is. According to Brent. Jeez, I'm having a good time.
I'm enjoying the downhill ride.
Yeah, there you go. He's talking about you being a special guest at a convention. It's 6 months from now.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, mark your calendars. You don't even know what dates. They haven't even set the dates yet. They don't even know where the hotel is.
They've set the dates.
It's like, we do it around this time. Q2 2024. I don't know.
See you there.
Yeah. Oh, man. Killing me.
You mean let us know if Total War Warhammer 2 goes on Steam sale or something?
Don't you just... you already own it. I don't actually own that game.
I do.
I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
You played a lot of that game. Yeah, I've got it on my wish list, but it almost never goes on sale. And when it does, it's not that on sale.
It's a good game. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Eventually I'll get there.
It's their best game in like the last 10 years. They know what they're doing.
Total War series, yeah.
In the Total War series, yeah. Warhammer 2 is the best one they've had in a while.
That's not great.
Nope.
I mean, especially if the first one was just meh and the third one people actively dislike.
It's bad. It's annoying.
Is it really that?
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah.
Why not just copy what you just did and change it up? People would play it and they'd be excited.
The Vortex campaign. It's you're racing against all the other races to complete the Vortex ritual. So good. So good. Two's the one you want. All right. I think we might be done here, Casey.
All right, yeah. 2. Okay. And 6 months though, mark account. We got. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Sorry for wasting your time, but we're glad you're here. Thank you.
Brent wasted your time. I had good information.
Can't argue with that. See you next time.